accountability on the part of institutions. Let's now turn our attention, and coming to you first, Mr. President. Abductions, the many unanswered questions on what has been happening, the recent disappearances primarily involving Kenya's young population who criticize the government online have remained shrouded in secrecy and mystery, leaving behind grieving families with the government now not giving the response required by parents to the unfolding crisis exacerbated by the dire situation. As an advocate of the High Court, is the government taking up the responsibility of the preservation of the sanctity of human life as directed by Katiba?
No, of course it is not. And it's a very troubling episode in our country because, in essence, we find ourselves in a position where there is dwindling public trust in the institutions that are supposed to preserve our security. And you need to, anyone who has a very little understanding of policing will tell you that to abduct someone in the manner in which it is happening in this country and in the consistency of the successful abductions that are going on, then those people who are abducting have a very good understanding of policing, a very good understanding of surveillance, a very good understanding and the technology to be able to track those that they want to abduct. The other thing is that there is a common denominator amongst all those people who have been abducted, and it's the fact that either they have ridiculed leaders who are currently in power, or they have criticized and exercised their freedom to express themselves in a manner that may offend or has offended certain people. So that is a common denominator. So you ask yourself that under our law, it is only the police and to a certain extent the NSIS and the military that are allowed to have the gadgets and the capability to be able to trace, track, and successfully abduct. So if we take the route that the IG is inviting us to take, that these are criminals, then you add another sophistication, that they have the ability to avoid being detected and being traced by the police. So and this is what the IG is asking us to believe, that these criminals, because whatever they are doing, and I want to say that these are actually state actors, that what they are doing is actually criminal. So on that, what the IG is saying, we agree that is criminal an activity. So is the IG asking us as Kenyans to believe that there is a unit operating out there that is so sophisticated that our NIS, and to a certain extension, because when interventions require, you can even go to military intelligence, and our DCI and our regular police are unable to trace, track, and detect these people who regularly abduct people, whose common denominator is that they have criticized government or ridiculed leaders who are in government in one way or another, and may even have, in the course of that ridicule, said something that may amount to a crime within the definition of our laws in Kenya. So if someone is asking us to believe that that is actually what is happening in this country, then we even have a bigger problem. Because if I say something against the government today, and I walk out of here and I disappear, how then can you ask us to believe that it is not the government that has actually caused me to disappear?
Okay. Coming to you, Gabriel, are we risking in becoming a gangster state? The last time I was here with you, we talked about the 4 Turkish nationals.
Yes, we did,
And,
yes.
and certainly some months later, the parents of Billy Mwangi, Bernard Kavuli, and two others do not know the whereabouts of their children.
Correct. Allow me to say two things. And two people have spoken to this issue, and I don't think it will be right for me to really second guess them. The first one is His Excellency the President, who spoke about this issue while in the western part of the country. And the second one really is the IG. But I really want to bring this to the fore, because the reason as to why we said in the beginning, when the president took over the reins of power, the unprecedented thing that he did when he allowed the IG of police really to have what you'd call financial autonomy, because this is what was breaking the camel's back, with the police, and in fact the IG having to knock the door of the executive, numerously to look for funds or seek for funds, was so that they are able to carry their operations unhindered, that they are able to do right by the people and by the Constitution. The President has spoken himself to that particular issue of abductions.
It's important. Just one thing I wanted to point out to him, that whatever action was taken to implement that was actually declared unconstitutional by the court. Probably he might not just be aware about it.
I was actually coming to that point, because there were petitions filed in court.
There were petitions, but even now as we speak, hardly do you find, and the President again spoke about it, and he dared anybody without information to actually come forth. No single time has the President called on anybody to carry out anything, a favor or otherwise. What does that tell us? What does that tell you, Wakili? That the IG of police must come direct to the people and tell them what is going on. Simple. I would be honored to hear our parliamentarians invite him to seek clarity on the disappearances that we are told. Okay. Secondly, Bwana Wakili, you'll agree with me, we are in the height of fake news and misinformation, and it's going to get bad. Remember,
I'll come to the fake news.
Wait a minute, it's the same thing we're talking about.
I'll come to the fake news aspect.
No, it's part of the...
On accountability note, let me just post
You've had a few weeks ago where everybody came and we put a photo of a young lady, and everybody says they were abducted, only for that lady to come out and really say she
was done by government
agencies.
Yes,
I mean, come on, Kawusha.
That was clear.
Just 2 weeks ago, the two young men. Wait a minute. The two young men who we said were also abducted. The family said one was the accidental drowning. The family has spoken about, and the other one was also a hit and run. So, my worry, Kawusha, as you say, the government is concocting. See, those words that you're talking is actually what is driving a dangerous narrative. When things happen, people really think the government, and that's why you're finding Kawusha and group, they become very good in hawking rumors. And becoming
why is Gabriel attacking? Why is Gabriel attacking? I've not even said anything.
You just said we concocted.
Yeah, Gabriel.
I mean, so you can see the peddlers of prejudice. Okay. No, this is what is happening.
Gabriel,
so when you peddle such things, he just said it that it's government concocting. How? Okay. How would what does it serve me or us to go and take a photo of an innocent person? Okay. And say they've been abducted, only for them to come out and say, no, as a matter of fact, that's not me, here I am. So I think what we are going to be dealing with, and we have to be alive to these facts, because yes, this time it may happen to me, but next time I can guarantee you, without a shred of doubt, it will happen to Kawusha. Okay. Misinformation, really.
Allow me then to ask you this, Gabriel. You made your point. In terms of what the president spoke about, there clearly has been an inconsistency in what he says. Just to give you an example of him telling the country that the former director of the DCI, George Kinoti, had resigned when he named his cabinet on the 27th of September 2022. Some 3 months later, in January 2023, he said he fired him because of extrajudicial killings and stuff. that inconsistency in a long list of others clearly makes Kenyans to doubt what the president himself is saying. But the question I'm asking you is, where are the 4 missing Kenyans, Bernard Kavule, Billy Mwangi, and the 2 others whose parents have moved to court, petitions have been filed, habeas corpus, and they have now 2 days, that is the IG, before presenting these missing Kenyans in court. And are you troubled?
Where I am
as
troubled.
Their parents are troubled?
I am troubled as a parent. I am troubled. You've asked a very good question. You've asked a direct question. Where are they? Those are the answers I would also be expecting to hear. And that's why I'm saying I would really like for somebody like Agusha, who's a lawmaker, for them to invite, they have the powers to invite the IG and seek to understand what needs to be done. That is how responsible citizenry should be. Because all of us, we are concerned as parents. Mheshimiwa Sosion is also concerned. So when the president said, the IG and your team, get on it, Kenyans need answers.
We spoke with the IG for record. My colleague Seth Olale interviewed him in the final days of 2024, and he said he does not know who is doing these abductions.
Let us, this thing is so serious that it is extremely, and allow me to use this word, annoying for this kind of responses, especially when they come from someone who is in government. And why do I say this? I say this because he has talked about the issue of misinformation. It is not actually misinformation. And this is what I was trying to illustrate. That if I leave the studio and for one, maybe my phones even die, they don't have charge. Because we do not have trust in our public institutions, if people are looking for me and they are unable to find me, the first thought that will come to their mind is that I have been abducted. And that is the state of the country, that we are living in a place where the IG of police would come and tell you that there are people who are operating in this country who are more sophisticated than the entire security mechanism of this country. And we do not know how they operate, where they operate from. That is what the IG is telling us. And that is why I'm saying, no, wait a minute. That is why I'm saying, that is why I am saying that is how sensitive this matter is. I do not want to go into history because I have litigated on these things, yeah? And we know, we can cite for you cases where, for example, in the Masengeli situation, before he could be cited for contempt. Those who had been
Kitengela
missing,
3.
The Kitengela 3.
The Longton brothers and Bob
the Longton brothers and Bob were released. Has there been any action to investigate and find out? None. I can tell you because I also have other clients who have been abducted in similar manner. But that is not the point. The issue is this, that we need, all of us, we need to just accept that is not the way to handle anyone who has committed a criminal offense. And let us get our act together. Let us not say so-and-so said this, so-and-so. We know where the problem is. They need to fix that problem, and we need to go back to predictability and the rule of law.
You see, very, very quickly, before
I'll come to you, Gabriel. For fairness, I'll come to you. Gabriel, just hang on. Order, let's have some order, Gabriel. Yes, Honorable Kagusha. It seems there's a blame game around this as well, yet we are talking about the sanctity of human life.
At first, and let me start by saying this, I've taken a lot of time, this Christmas time, to reflect. You know, a great philosopher said that an unexamined life is not worth living. Last year, when we had the challenges of the Gen Zs as members of parliament, you remember we had a lot of bodies that were all over, mortuaries and quarry and all over. And personally, I have taken a lot of time to reflect as a person. A great supporter of Kenya Kwanza government. I have been here on this platform defending the policies, defending the actions of the government, and doing so much for this government. But when I have taken my time personally to reflect and to ask myself very deep questions about what really is happening in this country, I have found that there are some things that cannot be defensible, whatever the cost. As my brother here is saying, is annoying. It's troubling. As a young man, Kagusha, who is now a first-time MP, I do not want to be cited in years to come as a person who supported things that could not be explained, disappearances of young people, and things that are not adding up. And I want to tell my brother Gabriel here, you're my friend. Gabriel, what you're trying to explain here are just narratives which you are concocting to try and cover a very deep challenge that we have in this country. My brother, even if you support the government, on this issue of abductions, I want to advise every other person, let every other person speak against it. It is not just abduction, it's cold blood murder. I mean, we are collecting young people. Look at what happened in Kware. We had young ladies, and by they had a problem that time trying to see or trying to put government agencies into this. But now, clearly, when that suspect, who was suspected to have killed those women and dumped them in Kware, when this gentleman, Collins? Halusha. When this gentleman disappeared from the police custody, and he could not be traced until today, at that point you have to ask yourself a question. Were we sincere even by framing him up? Or were we using this one as just a facade? And clearly, I can tell you, the buck stops at the government. Why do we pay taxes? And why are we collecting so much money from Kenyans? We are collecting this money so that we can protect them. So you cannot then come and try to give some rosy kind of explanations as to how you also don't understand, you also want to know. I mean, government collects money so that it can defend Kenyans. And let me say this. We have had many things coming from politicians. Remember, a politician in Bugoma saying that the person, trying to frame up issues about that they know the person who is doing these abductions is the former deputy president. I mean, how cruel and how annoying can that get from a senior politician in this country, Kimani Ichung'wah? And he's a person who is at a position of information and someone who can access so much information. If he's linking this to so and so, can he then prove that? Are you getting? And because he is in government and so senior, can he help us to understand how is it happening? And why is it that the government, with all this machinery, cannot be able to bring these people to the fore? Now, let me say this. You have heard them say that young people are self-abducting themselves. But now, from time to time, you hear young people being collected from the roads, killed. You have also had advice coming from these government politicians again, that we are advising young people to behave.
Okay, we have a soundbite of Oscar Sudi there.
Are you getting?
We'll be playing that.
Not only Oscar Sudi. It's a narrative that has been built.
And also the shifting of blame to the institution of parenting. But let me get the account of Honorable Wilson Sossion. And are you disturbed by events happening in our country?
I think, Ayub, this is a matter that should not be politicized. And we argue for the sake of arguing. It's about loss of human life and the possibility of some Kenyans being abducted and being killed. There is a trend in this country, like if you walk into the city, there is a counterfeit security system run by goons and is allowed and it is recognized. It has been allowed to prevail for a long time. I came face to face with it when I was at NAT, deployed, and you all know all those stories. These other syndicate teams, if there are allegations that a Kenyan has been abducted or is lost, whose responsibility is it? Right. You don't say government. That's generalizing.
Whose responsibility is it?
The responsibility is the police, right. The Kenya police. And I think let's pick the cue from where the president has made a statement. And the president has said two things over time. There will be no extrajudicial killings in the country. And we've heard people being killed. That concerns all of us. And the president has said the buck stops with the IG of police. The police service in this country, of course, is an independent entity under Chapter 15. And IG has been given the accounting powers. And therefore, the responsibility of policing the country enforcing law and order lies squarely with the police.
Okay.
So when the IG, when the IG comes out, when the IG comes out,
allow me to ask you this.
When the IG comes out, as you ask,
yes, allow me to ask you.
And aside that he doesn't know who is abducting.
He doesn't know.
We did not elect IG.
He said, can I just ask you the question?
We did not elect
then
IG.
Wonder, should we have the police then?
Can I then ask you the question so that
Yes.
we have orderly discussion and
Yes.
I source the answers from you, as I did with Gabriel and John Kagushi as well. We spoke with the IG, a lengthy interview on the 27th of this month, last month in December. He said he has no knowledge of what's happening. How then do you absolve the head of state from this quagmire? Just let me finish the question, because the commander-in-chief, President William Ruto, is a state property who holds the ultimate office that must provide the ultimate answers for the Kenyan people. And he said, we will end the abductions. If the police do not know, is it then unfair to seek answers from the president, who is the head of state?
Yeah, if the police do not know, then we are miles away from ending abduction. Because how are you going to end abductions if the police are not up to speed in terms of investigation, in terms of location of citizens, in terms of tracing lost citizens? You know, all of us should be secure. Absolutely. All of us have a right to life. And as a country, we had really gone several miles progressively in terms of protection of human rights and protection of life. And now moving back, battling backwards, and of course not forgetting there's so many bodies that could not be accounted in Rivayala, and we kept quiet as if that was a normal thing, and we institutionalized extrajudicial. The other day, a criminal who confessed to have killed and dumped bodies at the quarries simply disappeared from police custody. And we kept quiet as if that was a normal thing. Where is Jumaisha, the man who confessed to have killed citizens, and he escaped in the hands and the custody of the police? That police is under the superintendence of the IG of police. What is it that the police know about these crimes? Are they part of it? Are they part of the syndicate? Are they engaged in sabotage? There is something that is not coming out here. Because how do citizens...
I don't know whether Sosion is listening to himself as he's talking. You know,
let's just get it.
You see,
I'll come to Kagushaya.
Ayub, very quickly, when Eric said it's a discussion of uttermost seriousness, I agreed. And you've heard both of them, Kagushia and Bwana Eric, trying to push that it is a narrative we're driving. Actually, that's a little bit off. Why would you drive a narrative, number one, when people are dying? The president himself, the deliberate attempts he has taken to ensure that that does not happen. We do not roll back, as Bwana Sosion is saying. Key among them is what I've told you. Ensuring that the police, nobody ever picks up from the executive to call the IG of police and direct them to do 1, 2, 3. That to me was a big thing. And this is up, you see, Kagushi, I expect him, not you interviewing the IG. He has the mandate. He represents the people. Call the IG into parliament.
And oversight.
That is what I'm saying. Yeah. So Kagushi cannot come here and say, oh, they are saying about the former deputy president. No, you have the platform. Call them in. We need answers. So you cannot come and start playing with, our government is pushing an agenda. We are pushing a narrative. For what? I do not have a platform to call the IG. He does. All right? So forget saying that, you can call the IG and interview him. No. That is a media interview. But he has a structure of holding him to account. Okay. He has, directly through the people. So let him do his job. And finally, very quick, the one thing that we all must agree, human life must be protected. The sanctity of it is banal. So you cannot come and accuse us here of playing or pushing a narrative when lives are lost. I have seen people arrested, Ayub, as you have. And Eric, you'll agree with me. I have seen people who have said something bad about an individual who have been arrested, taken to a gazetted police station, produced in court, and they are released. We have seen that. So in this case of these young men who are disappearing, what is not going right? Why is the process, which has been used numerous times, not being followed? And if it's not followed, and I agree with Rossion when he said, there is somebody who needs to be put on his defense to tell us where are these people. Why does somebody escape from a police station?
And who is that person in your view? Who is that person?
Wait a minute, who was in charge? Who is in charge? Now escalate all the way to the IG of police. Because at the end of the day,
the police is straightforward.
Yes, because that mandate goes all the way through to the IG.
Okay.
We need to know, how did this person escape?
And my question is this, Gabriel.
Right.
Who is that person who, in your view, should be taking up that responsibility?
When somebody escapes from police custody.
I mean, you said there's someone who should be answerable.
Yes, when somebody escapes from police custody, I would expect those answers coming from the IG of police. He needs to tell us who was guarding. And why would such a person
escape?
And why have the 4 Kenyans who have been abducted, and why are all these Kenyans who are being abducted not presented in a court of law, in your view?
Is it what we are discussing here?
I mean, it's the question.
If we've had Kenyans,
let him respond to my question. Yeah.
Seriously, if we've had Kenyans who have been arrested, taken to a gazetted police station, which is the norm, this is what should happen. If a citizen is arrested for doing XYZ, an illegality, we all know what the Constitution stipulates, where they should be taken and presented to court. So when that line is broken, we need, now forget us working in government or even in Bunge, the mere fact that there's a constitution, we need answers. And those are the answers that we also need.
The Kenyan people watching this broadcast, you being here, the deputy government spokesperson,
correct,
they want the answers from you. Because the people of Kenya have...
I'm not the AG of police.
I know. Eric, hold on. I'll just finish up. I'll come to you. Have enough time. You are the deputy government spokesperson.
Correct.
You communicate for the government.
Correct.
The families of the 4 abducted Kenyans want answers. Mm-hmm. You say that the police and staff. The IG says it's not the police. I mean, how do you provide answers for the families of the missing Kenyans who have been brutally abducted?
The question that you've just asked again, for the uptenth time, I am telling you the same answers you're seeking. It is those are the questions I would ask the police, the IG of police. Same thing you have asked. You know, there are no 2 governments.
Okay.
IG as an independent institution.
You know, I think this is why we have a lot of trouble in government. If the kind of arguments and the advice that the government is having and communication that the government is having is this nature, Gabriel says there are no 2 governments.
Correct.
Okay? But again, he says, you don't blame government for the abductions, blame the police. You know, he's talking like police is a government of another country, or is a body that is formed by some opposition or some people somewhere else. Are you getting? Are you getting? It's like Gabriel doesn't understand that even though police is independent, quote unquote, I don't know when it actually became independent, if the police was independent, is it not part of government? And when you claim and accept, and I like at least the 2 of them, and that's why I'm asking them whether they are listening to themselves talking and whether they're actually understanding what they are saying. Because they're basically saying, yes, we accept we have a problem, we accept abductions are going on, we accept the police is at fault, and all that they have accepted. But they have forgotten that the police are government. Government has police as the only force that should use coercion and
maintain rule of law.
And of course, the instruments of force by the government are exercised by the police, which is part of government. Why do we elect a president? Why do we elect a government? Why is it that the IG has to be nominated or appointed by the president through the vetting? It's because at the end of the day, the IG or the person who is accountable for how government runs is the president, is a government. So you cannot be the deputy government spokesman, and when you are speaking, you accept liability for police, but refuse to accept liability for government. You know, what we are saying is this. We do not want all these explanations. The president said, while I think in Homa Bay, he said clearly, that hiyo mmesema ya watoto kutekwa nyara, hiyo nao tutaacha. Yeah? Itasimama. That's what he said. Lakini pia ninataka kuwaelezea that go and talk to your children. Yeah? Wapate nidhamu. Good. So, can the president then make sure the abduction stop?
Okay.
You see?
Yes, Eric.
Number two, you are asking us to teach our children discipline.
Yeah.
But give them an opportunity to live so that we can teach them discipline.
Okay.
Don't kill them.
Yes, Eric.
I wanted to say this, that, and you know, I'm so really worked up over this, because I really understand just how critical security and the maintenance of law and order is to the governance of a country. In fact, nothing else works in a country if there is no rule of law. Now, we have a police force that has gone to Haiti to try and bring back
stop abductions,
law and order. And what has been happening in Haiti? Haiti has been a heaven of abductions. Haiti, the government cannot rule because it cannot provide security because of the gangs that are operating there. So if you understand just how critical the Kenyan police mission is to Haiti, then you can extrapolate it to this country. That we want to be able, if we can see how difficult it is in Haiti to even go there to assist them, in our own backyard, we need to be able to appreciate the fact that when we have gang-like activities that go on, that the police cannot fold its hands and say, we do not know what is happening. Honorable Sosion and the government spokesman have all said one thing, and which I agree with, that the president gave a pledge that there will be an end to extrajudicial killings and there will be an end to extrajudicial abductions, which is what used to happen, leading to extrajudicial killings. That is a pledge. Now, they are also telling us that it is wrong for us to hold the president accountable to that pledge. How does the president ensure that his pledge is implemented? Through the security agencies. So the president should be questioning the security agencies. I gave a pledge to the country. Why is it not happening? I wanted to avoid the Homa Bay scenario because that statement in itself by the president is extremely worrying. Why is it worrying? Because besides making a proper announcement that these abductions will end, he also added a rider that parents should bring up their children properly. Haven't we had other national political leaders taking up the same message? So what does it mean when the common denominator of all these people who have been abducted is that they have ridiculed the president? What does that mean? Are we supposed to take that as an admission that these people have been taken as a result of ridiculing the president?
Okay. So allow me to get this to you, Honorable Sosion, this soundbite from Oscar Sudi, the Kapseret lawmaker who was in the company of the president in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet yesterday when they attended a church service.
Kila mtu aongeleshe mtoto wake nyumbani. Nidhamu ya kwanza inaanza kanisani na nyumbani. Kwa sababu ile maneno yako mtandao siku hizi ukiona, halafu mtu mmoja watu wanasimama watu wachache hapo, rais anafanya hii, maneno ya abduction, maneno ya nini. Unajua rais pia umenikosea kidogo. Ile siku nyingine ulitangaza waziri, nilikuwa nafikiri unasema Kipchumba Sudi. Kumbe akakuwa Kipchumba Murkomen. Tena juzi nimesikia tena nilikuwa nategea ukasema tena Kipchumba Murkomen. Sasa wangenipatia hiyo docket hiyo ya usalama siku 3 peke yake. Hiyo watoto na ujinga hiyo ya kuchora vitu kwa maneno itaisha. Kwa sababu lazima tu hakuna inji inaongozwa na upuzi.
Honorable Sosion, this extrajudicial language isn't healthy, is it?
I think we should refrain from dealing with everything over a very serious matter. As we are discussing here, 4 families are agonizing and possibly watching what we are discussing here. And their children are away. It is a painful thing. And I think
6 families.
Yeah, 6 families. And other families are also at risk. If indeed there are abduction gangs which can be proved, then it's a serious threat to the security of this country. And anybody, you and me, can be abducted anytime. I want us to focus on whose responsibility is it. Yes, it is easy to generalize and say government, but I think how do we account, how do we hold our security agencies accountable to such actions? Right. Because this is not an external threat.
Right.
If we were dealing with an invasion of another country, we would ask the Kenya military. But now we are dealing with a security issue within the country, that the allegations that it's some people are linked to government, the allegations, there are also speculation that these are organized gangs which are not known. But whose responsibility is it? It is the police.
Did you hear what
we then
said?
No, don't tell me about Sudi. Sudi is a politician. He can make his own statements. We are not dealing with political issues. We are dealing with security issues. We are talking about 4 families suffering who want an answer and who expect even this talk show to lead us to where we can possibly get a solution. The security infrastructure, there is the DCI that can locate where you are, Ayub Abdikadir. They can locate my location, where I've been. They can track me.
Right.
There are CCTVs. You can track where everybody is. That's a fact for sure. There is the NIS that is able also to do it, to integrate all these data. We have one of the most sophisticated police systems in the world. That has the right infrastructure. And for me, I pick from where the president stated that the IG, that was a clear language.
Correct.
The IG and the police should tell us, do your work. Can we get the backstops directly at the doorstep of the police? Can we sit as a country and say, no, we now have a very weak policing system that we are funding, that we are giving all the equipment and everything, yet they cannot do a simple job of tracing children? Let us cut out the issues of education and whatnot. Let's leave that. Let's deal with security. Let's isolate the issue of security and security of every citizen and every child. All of us have children. They're free to move about. Right. They must be secure where they go, round the clock. And first of all, provide security to everyone. So then the buck stops with this. And I agree with the government spokesman. And he's saying it at pains and very clear. And he's saying, yes, can Parliament even hold them to account? Because Parliament, there is a security committee
Correct.
in Parliament. And Parliament has powers
Correct.
as per the Constitution
Yes.
to hold the executive to account. And you cannot summon the president to Parliament. You can summon the IG.
Correct.
Have you done it?
But Parliament can impeach a president.
Parliament can impeach a president if there is evidence.
Okay.
The president is impeachable. Nobody is not impeachable in this country.
And this is my question to you.
Now, then the question is...
Hang on there, because
Yes.
you have brought up a very valid point. And all this, again, comes up to the question I earlier posed, because it's the police answerable to Kenyans. But the IG says that we do not know who is doing this.
Now can we escalate it to the next level? Escalate it to the next level.
Okay, what does that
escalate to the next level?
Explain to me and to the Kenyans watching this broadcast what that escalation then entails.
Now let's look at the structure of our constitution and independence of the arms of government, the judiciary, the executive, and parliament. Now that
so where is police in that?
No. Now the IG has made a very serious, is a serious admission that is unable to deal with that particular matter. He doesn't know who is abducting. And you know, that's not a statement that should come from the police. It is his work to investigate and tell us who is actually, bring the abductors to book, and secure the freedom of those children if they are in the hands of abductors. And we have seen abduction. Let's not talk about self-abduction. That is just politics. Let's deal with if somebody is undertaking self-abduction, we can locate, and actually, it is possible for the police to locate where everybody is. That is if. But let's not talk about self-abduction. Let's talk about dealing with this particular matter in...
Why are we burying our head in the sand?
Exactly. No, and then this is the question then, Sosion. When the president...
Now, when I talk of escalating...
Because of time, allow me to just ask you the direct question.
Yes.
Then why did the president commit to end saying that tutamaliza hii mambo ya abductions?
The president is the chair of the...
And he used the word we, which is plural. It's not singular. He said we.
Let me state it very clearly. Though I don't work within the ambit and the security aspect of the president. He's the chairman of the National
Why
Security...
then are you placing responsibility at the...
No, he's the chairman of the National Security Advisory Council.
Your cake and eat
and
it,
I'm sure it is an agenda within that entity. But I was saying this matter should be escalated. Parliament then should take it
Parliament
seriously.
is sold out.
No,
the executive. I can tell you. Yeah,
it's seriously.
Yeah.
No,
Parliament is sold out. There's no parliament.
When you think
Parliament,
this is the easiest answer.
Parliament,
and that's why
Parliament,
that is it.
Parliament on a matter of agenda. Let me go.
Yeah, it's sold out.
Parliament
is sold out.
Allow me to finish. Allow me to finish. Parliament has powers to convene itself. The Speaker can today gazette and convene a sitting of Parliament to discuss such a matter.
Yes,
it is possible for Parliament
I just wanted to
deal
say,
with that matter.
Yes.
They can't.
I wanted to just say a small thing. You've listened to what Sudi has said. What did Sudi say? That if he was IG, these young children who are drawing cartoons, who are...
A CS interior.
Yes, if he was CS interior, that is what he would have dealt with. So what we are talking about is not a gang that is operating at large, abducting people for money. We are not talking of a gang that is operating at large, abducting people because others are looking prettier than others. Because, you know, in Haiti, you're abducted for money. In Mexico, you're abducted for ransom and whatever. There is usually what you call a motive in every abduction. The motive in these abductions is that those people have criticized the president. In fact, one of the people who've been abducted, and I was trying to get his name, is the guy who drew the famous Kasongo cartoon.
Yeah.
So we know
Bulkibet,
yes. The reason why these people are being abducted is what Sudi has said. They are ridiculing leaders. They are ridiculing the president. That is the motivation. So we are not talking about people who are being abducted for money, for ransom, for whatever. That will be talking about a different thing. Yeah? So the context of this discussion should be, why is it that it is only young people who are being abducted for criticizing the regime?
Okay. That is the why. And I will not let Kagushia go easily when he said Parliament is sold out.
Completely.
Let Kagushia do their job. At one point, they are talking about we need these independent institutions to be independent. They've been crying foul. We need them independent, including Parliament. But all of a sudden now he's standing to tell you that, wait a minute, Parliament is sold out. That is someone who doesn't want to do your job. No, do your job. You can't be talking about the commissions. Finally, exactly, do your job.
Do your job.
Secondly,
and is the government
when the president said,
responsibility, Gabriel, you will proceed, I'll give you the time.
When the president said, wait a minute, let me just...
Gabriel, allow me to ask you the question. I wouldn't allow that to go unchallenged. Parliament's independence is guaranteed under Katiba 2010. It isn't what's granted by any other party or entity.
Correct.
And
so he's telling us it's sold out. I'm not the one who said it. I'm not the one who said it.
I said it. I said it on live on TV.
All right, and it's fair to say that members of parliament in this country have been fairly pulling against the national mood on important matters, including the discussions around the finance bill. Fair enough. It can be a discussion for another day. Let them do their job. Is the government doing its job of protecting the lives and property of Kenyans?
As it should, and I can guarantee you that this is why the president said, this is why the president said, it's not the first time he's uttering these words. He said them when he took the reins of power. Why? And that's why I keep insisting. It was a deliberate, it's something he had thought of. Yes, personally, when I told Bonadeuri, I feel the pain. I've been in this. I have friends that have lost. All right? So when you are talking about things that used to happen.
Ever heard of crocodile tears?
Wait, things that made things that made Kenyans get riled. Body bag after body bag in Shakahola. You were told about the container that was here at the police headquarters. Wait, had people in it. You have parents, like the 2 Indian children, who were abducted and killed. People don't want to go back there. The president was very deliberate when he said, hapo hatutarudi. And that is why I'm saying...
And who was doing that in your view?
And I don't know.
So 2 years, two years down the line, 2 years down the line,
remember, Ayub, I have told you about a situation that the president said we should never go back to. And what he has done, what he has attempted to do, you cannot point and say,
what has he done?
Parliament has been sold out. Key number 1 was to ensure that the executive does not use the same habit they used to do of arm twisting the IG of police. And the issue, he knew it very well, the IG and the judiciary. That is why these 2 institutions were very
and
key
it's my question
in
to you,
his
Gabriel.
agenda.
Gabriel,
he said
my question,
financial autonomy, so that you don't say that there is somebody or the funds that you used to receive at Mkubwa Amesema, those are no longer there. That is why I'm saying, that's why I'm saying,
fair,
I would
Gabriel.
really want to...
You made your point.
Taguchi is saying, is it again? When I say, he's saying,
allow me to ask you the question.
The president came out one time and said, ask the IG, he's here, ask any member of the police force whether I have ever picked a phone call to call on anybody.
I'll ask you this then.
Favor.
Gabriel, you do not know, I mean, you are largely referring to the interview the president made on the 4th of January 2022.
Correct.
23, he extensively talked about array of issues.
Yes.
You don't know who committed the Rivayala killings, the container deaths, the murdering of the Asian nationals, Shakahola. You don't know the parties who have committed that.
I have not seen somebody who has been said this is the direct person.
And today,
but you could tell they were state-sponsored.
Okay.
That is a fact.
Okay. And
that is a fact.
And who is then undertaking the current abductions?
So now that's what I'm telling you. When the president spoke about relieving the former IG of police, and he said, we know where the problem was. The problem was the arm twisting of the IG because of funding. And it was happening. Gabriel, he said, my first order, wait.
Gabriel, it isn't the finances. You're not
listening.
I'm questioning you. No, Gabriel.
Listen.
I'll be fair to you.
But you're not listening.
Gabriel,
you're not listening.
Gabriel, be fair to the Kenyans watching this broadcast. We're talking about lives, Gabriel.
The code, the umbilical code that you didn't share was that the IG cannot continue running across the corridors of the executive looking for funding because it's easy to manipulate him. Gabriel, it was easy. It was being that at that time.
We can talk about finances some other day. We can talk about
that was a key issue with the IG back then and the judiciary. Gabriel, it was easier to control the judges back then. I've taken your point, Gabriel. Because every time
you have placed a responsibility at the doorstep of Parliament. Because you want answers from the National Assembly Security Committee on what's happening. I place responsibility at your doorstep on where these Kenyans are.
Not on my doorstep. I can't know where they are. Not on my doorstep. Now, that is what I would be expecting. The Security Committee in Parliament to bring in the IG and question, now, you have all the financial autonomy. You have all the bells and whistles. You have all the equipment to seek these abductions. Now, tell us here. We have given you funding. Where are these people? Okay. That is what I would be expecting. But the person who we are pointing our fingers to
it's not going to work.
He has said that Parliament is sold out.
Can I then ask you
a question? He was elected by the people.
You made your point, Gabriel. Can I then ask you the question?
You've asked that question and I've answered you.
You haven't answered me.
I've answered you that question.
Does the government of Kenya know the whereabouts? It's a question again I come up. Does the government of Kenya know the whereabouts of the missing Kenyans young between ages of 20 to 24 who have been brutally abducted? You said the previous abductions and killings were state-sponsored. Who is undertaking this?
The reason why I told you that, it is because there is a line that needed to be cut. And that is why the president was very deliberate by saying, we will allow them to be very independent up to giving them their monies so that I cannot call the IG and tell him abduct or arrest or go, you know.
That is a simple answer.
Yeah. Correct.
If the IG of police doesn't know, then the government cannot know. How do you expect the president?
So then what should we do?
So then, Honorable Sosion, if the government cannot know, allow me to ask you this question, because I don't want to pass without challenging you and on this accountability note, because this is a respected show for its accountability.
Yes.
And I'm asking you this. You say if the IG doesn't know, the government doesn't know. I mean, the government operates in a theater where there are agencies that retrieve information, act on information, and even forestall circumstances that threaten our national security.
Yes.
Then how that, you mean the government of Kenya doesn't know the whereabouts of the 4 Kenyans who are abducted?
When the IG of police says it doesn't know who is abducting, and it doesn't know where the children who are abducted are, then how do you expect the president to know? Because the president
how about NIS?
rely on that infrastructure.
Why then did the president say, Honorable Sosion, that we will end the abductions? Why make a pledge?
That is why where we are now at this point, the abduction will not end if the IG doesn't know.
The point is, why do you make a pledge?
This is not going to end.
Why then do you make a pledge and say we will end the abduction?
A pledge is the police must work, and we must have it. And that is why we are saying, honestly, from this show, let us not politicize.
Correct.
You know, my brother.
6 youth have disappeared with allegation either they've been abducted, their whereabouts are not known, their families are in agony, they're watching us. Whose responsibility is it? We've said, without generalizing government, it is the police. The DCI has the infrastructure to investigate. And we have asked about Shakahola. We've not accounted for Rivayala. We've not accounted for what do you call the quarry dam here. And here we are sitting here talking, and the murderer escaped from the hands of the police at Kegiri police station. Okay. Honestly, what are we talking about? Are we saying we have a police that is unable to deliver as a country?
You know,
it is a time we should question. And you see, even the budgets of the line institutions are assigned by Parliament.
Correct.
It's allocated by Parliament. And therefore, those institutions must be held to account.
I want to say this.
We must let our constitution
let me just say
work.
this. Let me say this. You know, the problem, I now see I'm being blamed for the police not working. But let me say this. Let me say this.
You made your point.
Let me say this. The problem,
briefly, we're out of time.
Why I have found it extremely difficult to continue defending this, our government, is because we say what we don't mean, and what we mean is not what we say. If you see the crocodile tears that are being shed here by Gabriel, then you clearly know that we are in a circus as a country. If the police doesn't know, Sosion is of the opinion, then the president should know, and the government doesn't know.
Okay.
Then can the government then declare to Kenyans that, sorry, we don't know this, and we can't handle it, so that then Kenyans can get a different way of dealing with this issue.
Okay.
But again, we understand why also the IG could be saying he doesn't know, because we also hear that there is a team that has been assembled out of the national police system that is doing these abductions of 9 people. Somewhere, are you getting?
Can you prove that?
He can't prove.
Are you getting?
Can
so,
you
this
are serious allegations.
This is information now which is trickling in.
Call the IG to account and tell the country that there is an illegal body. Let him come and say unanswered in Parliament and account.
Okay, no, Gabriel.
Let's not peddle rumors.
I gave him the point first, please.
Security of Kenyans is so serious. We can't put in flying allegations.
We had our time.
And that's why we are saying this matter now should go back to Parliament. And Parliament should convene to discuss it.
Yes, it should. In fact, I believe this is what has gotten us here. I believe I got
in 30 seconds.
You know, the incoming CS for security has said that nobody has been abducted in Kenya since this government took over. In fact, he has also said there is no extrajudicial killing.
Correct.
I get him.
To Parliament. A simple thing.
Am I responsible for his utterances?
Hold him to account. Because he's a minister.
We are also holding him to account here.
Hold him to account.
We are also holding him to account here.
Meeting in Parliament.
I get it.
We are in a talk show. We are in a talk show.
Are they not the same guys?
There is no Hansard of Parliament.
Did he not come to Parliament to be
clear?
clear?
Call the CS internal security. The only person you can't call is the president.
Yes.
Call everyone else.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, they brought him to parliament. They cleared him.
You are in
job
parliament. You are paid by the taxpayers.
Gabriel Mutuma is the deputy government spokesperson. Many thanks for your time. We're out of time. We pause it. We continue some other day. John Kagusha, thanks for your time. Much appreciated. Eric Dauri, Mr. President, thank you. And Honorable Wilson Sosion, former nominated lawmaker. And thanks to you too for waking up with us here on the broadcast on the first day of the year 2025 for the morning show, that is. And we, of course, appreciate your company here on the broadcast. Up next is Sporty Monday with Isaac Swiller and his team of the many draws in the English Premier League and the other sporting activities in Kenya and across the world. We'll see you tomorrow morning here on the broadcast. Till then, good morning.